What do you see on film from Kentucky?
A lot of similarities to us, to Xavier. Fast, elite at pushing after makes. Got arguably the best shooter in the country in Brea. Got a great downhill player in OA. Got great size and can hurt you in a lot of different ways. With Williams as a point center, elite passer. They're a very, very good cutting team, and you see why they're a 3 seed.
I guess with so few upsets in the first round, there's a lot of kind of incredible matchups today and tomorrow. Just what do you make of Illinois, Kentucky, Sweet 16 on the line?
It's 2 really good, proud programs, and that have great fan bases, that have are worthy of being here. And I think that it's maybe a little unusual this year that the top 4 seeds have all gotten through. That doesn't happen very often, but I think it speaks to the strength of the SEC, what everybody's talked about all year, and the strength of the Big Ten.
You seem pretty pleased with the defense against Xavier. Do you feel like that's something that can carry over to tomorrow night?
If it doesn't, we won't win. I thought that we did a nice job on the Conwell kid. He hit the first one of the game, and then Fremantle had the only game of his career that he didn't reach double figures. But there's still room for improvement, and I liked our rebounding. I thought that was the big difference in the game. But you've got to guard and rebound in the NCAA tournament, or you go home.
When you go back and look at the game last night, where was Will Riley most effective in the win last night?
A lot of areas. He became a facilitator for us. He became a guy that they made a change. In terms of their ball screen coverage, they started hard hedging Kasparis, and rightfully so. He had 10 assists, and he was distributing at a high level, and he just became a guy that was a secondary option that facilitated, got downhill, and they weren't doing that as effectively with him as they were with KJ. So had a nice game and hit a couple pretty into the shot clock tough shots.
Brad, is it fair that your younger guys last night played with more emotion than we've seen in a while? KJ, Will, and Tommy, especially Will.
Yeah, Will was different. To me, that's what this tournament brings out: is fun and emotion and the raw passion for the game. I've said, those guys love the game. They don't love what the game brings them. They love the game, and that's the way you should play. Is invested in the game with your emotion and your desire to want to win. And I think all 3 of those guys did that.
2 of your best players obviously come from overseas. Why is it so important to invest overseas for Illinois basketball? What was the approach to try to make sure you got the best players that fit?
Yeah, we've always been invested in overseas guys. We've had a lot of European guys over the years that have been very good. NIL's changed maybe the quality of the player that we can get. And I've said many times the basketball world's pretty small. We've known about Kasparis for years. Everybody's known about Big Z and Tommy forever. The 7-1 twins. It's not a small world. So we go over about every month to 6 weeks. We'll continue. It fits our university. We have a very diverse university. I like coaching them. There's a maturity that I think a lot of these young guys bring, and they fit us and fit our program.
Coach, it's probably not often that you could outnumber the Big Blue Nation in terms of road tripping, but that may be the case tomorrow with a lot of orange and blue.
Are we? That probably doesn't happen very often. I've said it many times. We've got a great, incredible fan base with that's very proud of their program, and I'm blessed. I get to be their basketball coach. It's nice that it's obviously a couple hours from Chicago, with a large alumni base there. But it doesn't matter whether we're in New York, whether we're in Vegas, whether we're in Hawaii. The Orange Crush shows up. The Illini Nation is a very, very proud basketball, happy fan base, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Question for the old school fans. Do you think a lot of Illinois fans remember the 1984 game in Lexington?
I was a freshman in college. No, I was a sophomore in college. Gosh darn. Yeah, it was a rule-changing game, right? They, moved off home sites. Great thing that they did that. Kentucky probably would have 10 more championships if they kept him on campus. But no, I think it's the growth of basketball. I think it's nice to hear that these two programs were good back in the 80s and long before, and I've said many times we're a tradition-rich program just as well as a lot of the other elite programs out there.
Coach, a lot of the programs still playing this time of the year. It's the same coaches, the same programs year in and year out. What are the values that you preach to your team that allow your team to be in this position year in and year out?
It's really simple. Everyday guys showing up, doing your job every single day, and enjoying the moment, and enjoying. We have a saying: play hard, have fun, and enjoy the thrill of an all-out effort. And when you do that, the guy to your right, the guy to your left gets to smile just as much as you do doing it. And we don't vary from that. Character is important. We want character guys in our locker room. I think that's how we've been able to do that this year with 10 new guys and a lot of young guys. So it's the staples of what we do haven't changed. Yes, we have good players, and that's important, but the character piece is equally as important.
What would it mean to make another run in the tournament with such a new team, such a new roster after you did last year?
I want to make a run with whatever team I have. That's the goal, is win a national championship every year. And however we put it together, we believe going into the season that we have an opportunity to make a run. It's really hard. We don't take anything for granted. Being here, hearing your name on Selection Sunday, playing in one of the great.
Ask him about his Dodge City defense. Dodge City defense.
Hey, it was freaking spectacular compared to that bullshit in Fort Scott. God.
We were an offensive team.
Hey, we played in a rodeo arena. The dust was so bad we couldn't even play. Good gracious, golly. Seriously, they played in a rodeo arena.
You got friends like that.
Yeah. So,
What was that arena like?
half of it was the rodeo arena, indoor rodeo arena, and the wind would blow and the dust would blow, and every 10 seconds they had to mop the floor. I mean, I shouldn't say anything. I was in Dodge City, which was the cowboy capital of the world. So, but good dude, good coach.
What's it like that you guys are both here in the NBA arena playing in the tournament?
Yeah, we're just a bunch of JUCO guys that coach ball, and we get to live out our dreams, and that's what this thing's about. Just as much for coaches as it is for players, and that's what makes this fun and enjoyable. And you meet a lot of really good people along the way, and Chris is one of them.
When it comes to bringing in so many players from different backgrounds and building a team around that, you mentioned last night the personality test. I'm wondering, what do you gain from that process, and how do you tailor that toward building that chemistry that you guys have?
Oh, I take a lot from it. I mean, there's a lot more that I don't take than what I do take based on that. I mean, you find selflessness, selfishness. You find guys that what's important to them, and we dive deep into it. So it's pretty forthcoming for us.
When you guys worked out earlier, how did you gauge how quickly your team turned the page and focus on Kentucky? It probably helps that you are playing Kentucky to get their attention.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that last night in the locker room after the game. We talked about it at the hotel. It's something I didn't do a very good job of in the Big Ten tournament, turning the page. We enjoyed the Iowa win way too long, and it's next game or you go home, and you've got to get mentally engaged. We had an inspired practice today, and it didn't go too long, but we got after it again, and mentally we've got to get a few more hours here tonight to keep them ingrained in what is the next task, which is Kentucky.
You talked a lot about Kylan's leadership. When you brought him to Illinois, what told you that he could be that guy?
We had an advantage. We'd recruited him for a long time before he went to Arizona. And we knew what he was. I thought he had a chance to be an outstanding defender. I loved the fact that it didn't matter if he was playing in a high school game, playing an AAU game, he always guarded the other team's best player. To me, that's a characteristic that as a young man, as a 5-star player, that he's pretty selfless. He takes pride in winning. All that was really, really important in him coming back to us. And he's young. He's still 19. And yet he's a guy that has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and he's not afraid to lead. He's not afraid to communicate and tell guys things sometimes they don't want to hear. So really glad he's on our team.
What's the
Don't
value
tail
of
off
him?
that Brad
What's the
thing.
value of him going through failure and sharing that with the young guys who are going through it for the first time this season?
There is no such thing as a perfect season. Every player goes through ups and downs, has bad moments, has good moments. Every team has good moments and bad moments. And to have somebody who's lived in those moments and been through them and understands, and on the other side of that, you've got to have willing listeners. And this group of guys has been willing listeners, and he's offered a lot of that up.
To dovetail off your answer on Bam, he has mentioned the 17 and 18-year-old version in Arizona didn't care about scouting reports, didn't watch a whole lot of film, wasn't as locked in. I'm just curious, what do you think flipped for him once he got back here?
You grow up, maturity, and I'd like to think no other options.
Sure.
For us, if you don't do those things, you don't play. I am not trying to say he didn't do that at Arizona, but I think the one thing that guys grow up and there's a maturity that happens, and you realize it's all that stuff's there to help you, and so it's a big part of that.
One of the toughest schedules that you guys have had, 3 SEC teams. How is that going to help your guys prepare for Kentucky tomorrow?
Arkansas, Missouri, who else did we play?
Alabama,
and Tennessee, 4.
4, sorry.
And the scrimmage his dumbass. The exhibition, 5. That's what we do. We're going to play really good people, and it's this team. We couldn't have any false pretenses to who we were. This team had to know what we were to find out, and you do that playing really good people, really good coaches. Tomorrow's last night was no different. That's a really good basketball team. Great coach. No different tomorrow. I think being on those stages, being neutral site on Thanksgiving Day against Arkansas, being in the Garden against Duke, being playing Tennessee early and at home and not inbounding the ball on a sideline out. All those things helped us grow and be ready for a moment like this. And you don't get that if you don't play quality people like that.
For such a young team, these guys seem to have a maturity about them and a business-like approach almost. Where does that come from, and how does that help them in a win-or-go-home kind of situation?
Yeah, I think you got to have that mentality. I think every team's different. Last year we had some different guys who were a little more mature, but they were also pretty loosey-goosey, and we played a lot of games in this thing, and this team's a little different. And I say that, and we've got Tommy and KJ, who are 2 of the funnier guys out there, but it's just a kind of business-like mentality that we've taken on, and this group's been found its way doing it that way.
Brad, with the portal not open for a few more days, is there less noise around just the game preparation and fully focusing in on that?
Well, it's been a good part of my morning. I had a couple calls, but it's never far from your thoughts, and that's today's world. But it has helped moving it back a week.
When you were scouting KJ and Tommy, obviously the talent's probably evident, but what did you see in them that made you want to pursue them and feel like this is good?
Yeah, Tommy was easy. I mean, his passing, his shooting. We were looking for a 5-man who could do all those things. Kasparas was literally the MVP of every big tournament with every good player in it. I mean, he just found a way, and he was never a playoff. Took every big shot. Was never afraid of the moments, and all those things were right up my alley. Things I loved and wanted to instill in our team and have in our team.
What have you seen from Lamont Butler and the kind of defensive challenge he can pose for any team?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Lamont when he was healthy. He's obviously fighting the shoulder, but you're talking about a big, strong guard who's very versatile, can do a lot of things. He's equally as gifted on the other side of it. And defensively, you can't just talk offense with him. But his size, his physicality, his ability to distribute, make plays for others is at a really, really high level. And he's a guy that when they didn't have him, they missed him. And obviously he's back doing all those things.
Right on the roster building front, both of you guys don't have, Kentucky and you don't have much continuity. That's pretty different than the historical norms of winning in March. Like, what does it say about the new era of college basketball that you can win with brand new teams?
Yeah, and I think Mark's situation's a little different. I think that's going to be very much the norm for coaches in their first year. I think you're going to see complete builds. I think you're going to see some of those things as well when you do what we did last year, which was purposely choose to get very old. But I think it's one of those things that allows itself. NIL, great programs with great fan bases, great facilities, all those things allow you to be invested in terms of getting quality players. And get back here.
How important is it to get the person